Today we're going to talk about a really pivotal but, often overlooked event from the American Civil Rights Movement. It's called Axe Handle Saturday. It was a day of just brutal violence, but also incredible courage that really did change a city forever. And the whole story, it kicks off with this one simple, powerful idea. This quote right here, it's from Rodney Hurst Sr., who was right in the middle of all of this. And it just cuts right to the heart of what was going on. It tells you immediately this is a story about so much more than just a lunch counter protest. So, okay, if it wasn't about a hot dog and a Coke, then what was it about, right? What could possibly drive a bunch of teenagers to risk literally everything just for a seat at a lunch counter? Well, that's the question we're here to unpack. So let's set the scene. We're in Jacksonville, Florida, August of 1960. Now, you have to picture a city that is just deeply, deeply entrenched in the segregation and racism of the Jim Crow South. I mean, those signs telling Black citizens where they could and could not go, that was just a part of everyday life. And into this environment, who steps up? A group of incredibly courageous young people. And we're not talking about seasoned political organizers here. We're talking about students, members of the Jacksonville Youth Council NAACP. And they were led by a remarkable 16-year-old, the same Rodney Hurst Sr. we just heard from. So their goal wasn't just about changing a rule. It was about something so much bigger. It was about challenging a system that denied their basic humanity. These sit-ins were a peaceful but incredibly powerful demand for dignity and respect. Now, you have to understand, this explosion of violence, it didn't just come out of nowhere. It was actually the boiling point after 2 straight weeks of determined, completely nonviolent protest. So for 13 days, these students sat at segregated lunch counters, day after day. And day after day, their peaceful resolve was tested, but it never, ever broke. And all of that set the stage for the 14th day, the day everything would change. And the contrast here, it is just so stark, isn't it? On one side, you have these peaceful, resolute students. And on the other, the response is just this escalating aggression, verbal abuse, awful racial slurs, and physical harassment. Then came Saturday, August 27th, 1960. In what was then called Hemming Park, right in downtown Jacksonville, all that simmering tension just erupted into planned, horrific violence. Think about this number for a second. A mob of over 200 white men gathered in that park. They'd been tipped off that the sit-in was happening, and they came ready for a fight. And they came armed. We're talking baseball bats and, most notoriously, freshly milled axe handles. These crude, brutal weapons are what would give this dark day its name, Axe Handle Saturday. And here's maybe the most chilling part. As this mob brutally attacked these young demonstrators, and really any Black person they could find, the police did nothing. They just stood by and watched. And then help arrived from a place no one saw coming. A Black street gang. They were known as the Boomerangs. They heard what was happening, and they came to the students' aid, actually fighting back against the mob to defend them. So it was only after the Boomerangs showed up that the police finally got involved. But their intervention, it was just unbelievably unjust. They started arresting, and in some cases allegedly assaulting, the very people who were trying to defend themselves from the mob. So yeah, the violence of that day was just horrific. But that's not where the story ends. Not even close. The courage of those young protesters, it left a legacy that's so important to understand. We need to talk about why this day still matters so much. The sheer brutality of Axe Handle Saturday, it shocked people. It brought national attention to the fight for equality happening in Jacksonville. It laid bare the violent reality of racism. And through their incredible sacrifice, these students were absolutely instrumental in pushing for and eventually getting the city's public spaces desegregated. Rodney Hurst Sr. gives us a really crucial way to think about this day. He says it's to be commemorated, not celebrated. It should be solemnly remembered for the lessons learned and the courage shown, not treated like a victory party. And in the end, it just brings us right back to where we started. This quote captures the whole thing, doesn't it? It was never about the food. It was always a fight for the most fundamental right there is, to be treated with human dignity and respect. This story of Axe Handle Saturday is just such a powerful reminder of the impact young activists can have.
It makes you ask a really critical question, right? In these moments of huge injustice, how often is it the courage of the youngest people among us that truly bends the arc of history?